welcome to They Said We Said. This is John bringing you my weekly spoiler review of The Walking Dead Season 7. This is reviewing Episode 1, The Day Will Come When You Won't Be. First of all, I want to say thank you guys so much for watching the reaction video to the Negan kills. It's less than 24 hours that it's been posted, and it's already the number 2 viewed video on the channel, so thank you guys so much. So let's dive right into it. So the episode starts off with the left-hand man or right-hand man trailer, where Rick and Negan are kind of squaring off. We saw it in the trailer. He says, I'm gonna kill you, and Negan kind of gets in his face, does that weird teeth suck thing, and kind of gets Rick's hatchet, picks him up like a ragdoll, throws him in the trailer, takes off. So he brings him to just this. Well, I guess in the season finale, episode 6, that was there was that scene when they kept getting stopped by the other saviors, and they threw that one guy off the bridge. So I guess they went back there. For some reason, it was like super foggy in this episode. Anyway, so right off the bat, it's just Negan breaking down Rick. So he wants him to be subservient. He's taunting him with the hatchet. He's saying, pick it up, you're never going to get this chance again. He's mocking him. He's being really funny, though. Jeffrey Dean Morgan in this show has so much charisma that even though he's doing these awful, awful things, I found myself laughing, which you can see in the spoiler review, like right after he knocked down Abraham. I mean, it was Abraham, too, because he did have the famous suck my nuts line, which was incredible. But Jeffrey Dean Morgan, he has this crazy, this like maniacal charisma where he could say and do these horrible things and it still come off as like, I want to be that guy's friend, in a weird, scary way. It might just be a me thing. It's like he's testing Rick. He kind of throws out his hatchet and do just like a small herd of walkers, probably about 15 to 20 walkers. And it's kind of a test. So I mean, if he fails it, then whatever, he gets eaten. That's a problem solved. But he's trying to break him, and the effects on some of these zombies were really good. I noticed, like, I watched Fear the Walking Dead too, and watching Fear, like all the zombies look like almost like Halloween makeup kind of zombies, where it's like just a little black under the eyes, just a little blood here and there. Some gore, not as much. This is so advanced, like the advanced stage of the shared universe. Like all these zombies are like falling apart at this point, unless they're like newly dead people. But these walkers are just like nasty, and this episode should be nominated for some kind of Emmy for effects or makeup or whatever. So Rick at one point has to jump off the top of the RV, grab a hold of this zombie that's hanging by a bridge. And it's just like, and then its head just slowly is pulling off, slowly pulling off, and Rick is just like, and the walkers down there just like pulling him down. It was a really intense scene, but it was very well shot. And then it's kind of funny in a gross kind of way. The head from the hanging zombie kind of like rolls over, and Rick's trying to like find the hatchet and stuff like that, and he has to kind of like jump over this still like snapping head. I thought it was pretty funny. And while kind of Negan's giving him commentary from the RV and kind of helping him too, he has like a machine gun and he's kind of mowing down some walkers when it looks like Rick is has no chance. Rick's having these flashbacks of what just transpired an hour before, and that's when we get the actual scene about 14 minutes in to the episode, and it shows, he does the eeny, meeny, miny, mo, and then he finally lands on Abraham, and I, like I said in my last video, I had an inkling that it was going to be Abraham and it was going to be Glenn, but how they did it, like Abraham, it happened kind of how I mapped it out in my head. He took the bat, he took it like a champ, as Negan said. It doesn't feel very over to me. So, again, it's not. So at that point, Daryl kind of springs up because he just, even though he's dying, he's been shot and whatnot, he's just seen enough, so he just gets up and lands a clean one right on Negan's jaw. That was incredible. That part was great. And then, immediately Dwight, aka Daryl's doppelganger, slams him on the ground, points the crossbow at him. It was like kind of a cute misdirection. It was kind of selling that Daryl's going to get it by Dwight, who's basically the Daryl in the comic book, spoiler alert, from his own crossbow. I didn't really see that. So, but at that point, I started maybe thinking it was going to be Daryl, or even like grab someone like Aaron, or a what's his face, Mr. Mullet Man. I can't think. Eugene, thank you. Eugene over, one of those real smaller characters, and just make an example of him real quick. But then it started panning over to where Negan was standing, and you could just see Glenn just sitting there, or kneeling in the background, just kind of in perfect position. And I'm like, oh shit, here it goes. And then, sure enough, let's continue. Boom, and that is like, oh man, that was like a minute of like straight out of the comics. I mean, the effects were right off the page, the emotion was right off the page. It was so good, and it did evoke a lot of emotions from a lot of people. Everyone was clamoring for the death last year at the end of season 6, and they felt cheated, but I felt like this was so impactful, and it was so gruesome, and it was so off the page that it made up for all that stuff, and the context was great. Flash forward rather to the scene in the RV, and he's not really getting through to Rick, it looks like. Negan, so he's cleaning off the hatchet. He's saying, oh, you're gonna need this, and he finds some alcohol, a little foreshadowing. So he gets him back to the scene where they're all just sitting there with two dead buddies, chilling. He puts them back on his knees, and then bam, puts a gun to everyone's head, says, you're gonna do this thing, grabs Carl. It was funny too, because they were teasing Rick again, spoiler alert, in the comics, Rick loses an arm, but it's chopped off by the governor. So they didn't do that, because I heard in production wise it would be a nightmare. They'd always have to have some kind of CG effects or shoot Rick in a weird way on the show if they were true to the comic with the arm. But the whole time they're spoiling, they're teasing Rick losing an arm or someone losing an arm, and the whole thing. The trailer is called Right Hand Man. So he gets the hatchet. I was expecting like a Evil Dead 2 moment, cut off the arm, put a Farewell to Arms book on top. That's a deep cut. They lay Carl out, draw a little Sharpie, and man, that guy is a Right Hand Man henchman, because that guy even had a Sharpie in the zombie apocalypse. Holler. Apocalypse? And he draws on him, says, cut right there. And then you could finally see, like, Michonne's like the first one to break, because how she feels about that family, Carl and Rick. So he gets going. Just when he's about, Negan says, okay, I can see you learn your lesson. So, and then that's it. And, they all get up. Maggie has a heart-wrenching scene. There's another heart-wrenching scene of, like, what could have been. They're all at the dinner table. I feel like that, I have to have one complaint. I think that scene, although like really emotional, and it invoked a lot of good emotions, and it hit the points that it was going for, it was a little on the nose. But that's just like nitpicking. That's like saying, my pizza had one too many pepperonis on it, and I ain't complaining about that. Just everyone's just sitting there, still kneeling there, just utter shock. I mean, it's very realistic. They're acting very realistic, and Maggie gets up. She's freaking out. Everyone kind of rallies up. She's very gung ho about revenge. Rick's just totally broken at this point. So then they carry the bodies off, and then last scene is just that random one of Walker. They have, they're making all this noise all night. Who knows? Maybe while they were gone, some walkers came, and the saviors just kind of offed them one by one. We don't know. But this one walker just kind of stumbles onto the scene, kneels down, probably Glenn. I don't know. It doesn't really specify. It could be Glenn, could be Abe. You know, we've seen the trailer. If it's the Abe soup, then he's getting little brains and some teeth and stuff. If it's the Glenn soup, you're getting an eyeball. And that's it. And then that's the end of the episode. Man, scoring this thing, I'll give it a 1. You know, out of a 1 to 5. As an episode, I would say 4.8. 4.8. This is probably, I don't know. It might be the best episode of The Walking Dead I've ever seen. It might just be. I'd really have to think about that. But yeah, and that's it. I didn't have too much gripes about it. And that's it for this week. So, guys, thank you for watching. Please comment and subscribe to the channel. And we'll see you next week.